Good afternoon and welcome to Tanner Park Senior Center. I want to thank our hosts here today, Town of Babylon Supervisor Rich Schaefer and the members of the Babylon Town Board. Thank you. Of course, my colleague from the West, Nassau County Executive Laura Curran. Thank you, County Executive. All the members of the state legislature who supported this bill, starting with our bill sponsor in the New York State Senator, Senator John Brooks. Of course, somebody who's been a huge advocate for this bill, Senator Phil Boyle. Thank you to Senator Monica Martinez, Senator Kevin Thomas, Senator Jim Gorin. Our bill sponsor in the Assembly, Assemblywoman Kimberly Jean-Pierre. Not bad. Assemblywoman Judy Griffin. Assemblyman Michael Montesano. Assemblyman Andy Ray, another huge supporter of the bill. Another huge advocate. Assemblyman Dave McDonough. And Assemblyman John McCoolin. We want to welcome and thank New York State Department of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation Commissioner Eric Kulised. Thank you, Commissioner. Also, our Suffolk County Police Commissioner Jerry Hart and all the members of law enforcement for what you do out on our waterways. We're also joined by Town of Oyster Bay Supervisor Joe Saladino. Town of Hempstead Supervisor Laura Gillen. Thank you to Mitch Pally from the Long Island Builders Institute, who is here today. Mitch, thank you. And most importantly, we are honored to be here and joined by Gina and Frank Leineck, Brianna's parents, and we thank them for their advocacy and their work. And Gina, thank you. It's an honor to welcome the governor here today for this incredibly important bill signing to all of us, and to those of us who are friends with the Leineck family. This is a very important occasion. This is an important signing for all of New York, but for those who were here when this horrific accident occurred, this is a really important and special moment. This bill is named for Brianna, who is a beautiful, beautiful young girl. And I was Babylon Town Supervisor at the time. I have never seen a community outpouring of love and support and caring when this accident occurred. And it was because of who this beautiful young girl was and because of this amazing family. And what happened in this process of this bill becoming law tells you all that you need to know about this family. This is an unimaginable event in a parent's life. Unimaginable what happened to them, to Gina and Frank and their family. But they took this tragedy and turned it into something that brought all of us here today that will save lives, that is saving lives. And that's an extraordinary thing. And people became very familiar with Gina in the halls of Albany over the last few years. And I suspect she may not go away either, knowing her. But to the Leineck family, thank you for your advocacy here. And to the governor, who knows how important these waterways are. The amount of effort and commitment and dedication he has delivered for this region and for the state as a whole, but you know, we're here talking about Long Island today. These waterways are everything to us, and the governor has been leading the way in making sure we're protecting not only the water quality, which is essential. He was out here this past weekend, you know, continuing New York State's leading artificial reef program. The commitment is extraordinary. But it's not just about the water quality, as important as that is. It's also about making sure we're keeping people safe on these waterways that are becoming more and more crowded out there. And our local law enforcement is doing that. But the governor, once again, being here today, making sure that we're doing everything we can to keep people safe and to make sure what happened to the Leineck family does not happen to others. So, Governor, I thank you again for delivering for all of us here in Long Island and all of us in New York and being here to sign this vitally important piece of legislation to keep our waterways safe. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our great governor, Andrew Cuomo.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be with all of you. It's my pleasure to be back in Babylon, to all the officials, to Rich Schaefer, to our local legislators, your state assembly and senators who really made this happen. The county executive acknowledged them. But I'd ask them all to stand, and let's give them a round of applause because they did a really great job. To the county executive neighbor to the west, who I was just with, Laura Curran, who's doing a great job. Let's give her a round of applause. Of course, to York County Executive Steve Bellone. I'm a big fan of Steve Bellone. I am. Good man, great county executive. Not perfect. Who's perfect, right? Not perfect. And I don't want to tell tales out of school, but a couple of weeks ago, we're opening the new Jones Beach. Have you been to the new Jones Beach yet? You have to go. It's magnificent. Really is magnificent. It's restored. It was a phenomenal accomplishment when they first did it. Robert Moses, Governor Al Smith. Jones Beach, you know, the secret about Jones Beach, there was no beach. It was all marsh. They created a beach 7 miles long. And they built these beautiful restaurants and beautiful structures. When I was growing up, it had already decayed. But we rebuilt the whole thing. Parks Commissioner Kuliside is here. And we're reopening Jones Beach, and they added a zip line, okay? Goes from the top of a tower, then they say the cable comes down, gradually brings you to your feet. Okay. They say to us at the end of the program, you know, you're supposed to open the zip line. I'm with the county executive. That's a county executive responsibility, zip lines. Governors do not do zip lines. So I say to Steve, you have to climb the tower and get on the zip line. Steve says, well, has it been tested? I said, what do I know? I mean, it's your county. What do I know whether or not it's been tested? I said, you climb up that tower, military, just climb up that tower, get on the zip line. He says, you know, I'm not that good with heights, Gov. I'm not that good with heights. Who was the test dummy for the zip line? Me. That's right. That's half made up. But the concept is right. We're here to talk about something we do all the time and we take for granted, but which has evolved over time, and in truth, our thinking and regulation of it hasn't evolved. Boating is a beautiful activity. I have been boating all my life. I grew up on the water. I had my first rowboat. I was 7 years old, and then I got my 7-horsepower Ted Williams motor, and I've been on the water ever since. And I boat all over. I've gone from Washington, Nantucket. I fish You come to my home, all the pictures with my kids are, all the best moments are on the water. First, water skiing, water tubing, fishing. I have the whole chronology. You see them growing up in all these pictures, and it's all about the water, and it's all about boating. And it is a beautiful adventure, and it's great for the family, and it has evolved, and it has grown tremendously. It's a great economic engine for Long Island. The artificial reefs that Steve were talking about, increased fishing, increased diving, increasing tourism. It's a great way to spend time with the kids. I love it still. It's one of the few times I can get them to put down the darn iPhone, you know, because I hit waves designed to splash the boat, and they are afraid I'll splash the iPhone and it will break, so they put it away. So it is a great, great pastime, and I love it, and a lot of good memories. The truth is also, it is more dangerous than it has been in the past. Boats are more powerful. Engines are bigger. Younger people have access to more power, more speed at a younger age. There were no jet skis. There was no 16-year-old who had 200 horsepower behind them. And the truth is, you have to know what you're doing out there. You really do. It's not as easy as it seems. I can't tell you how many instances that I've been in where I've frightened myself. You know, you're out there and it gets dark, the whole situation changes. You're out there and it gets foggy, the whole situation changes. And boating has become much more popular. And our rules and our laws really have not kept pace with it. We only recently did, relatively recently, did the driving while intoxicated law, right? But the parallel between a boat and a car are really very close now. You're out there are hundreds of boats out there with you. You have to know what side of the channel you're supposed to be on. You have to know what you're supposed to do, God forbid, in case of an accident or in case of a situation. You know, you can take somebody water skiing. If you don't know what you're doing and you're going to pick up that person and the wind is blowing the wrong way, or you get that rope caught around the propeller, you can have a very beautiful situation turn dangerous very quickly. So what is common sense? Common sense is to protect yourself and to protect others. There should be a basic level of knowledge that you have before you're given the permission to go out there and operate this vehicle. That's common sense. And this law is just common sense. It says a safety course is now mandatory. More regulation, more big government. Baloney, for lack of a different word. This is a basic government bill that protects everyone. It protects the operator, and it protects everyone that operator could come into contact with. It is... It is online. You can go online and take it. You take a quiz off the online course. The computer generates a certificate immediately. You have that certificate. God bless you. You go and you get in your boat and you enjoy yourself, and you will be safer, and the people around you will be safer. It would be unintelligent for anyone to let their child go out in this situation without basic knowledge. It would be unintelligent for any person to go out without basic knowledge. It's not intuition. It's not, well, I'm smart, I know how to drive a car, I can do this. No, you don't. It is a totally different environment. And you don't want to learn the hard way that you don't know how to handle this totally different environment. That's what this law says. It's a precedent for the country. We're proud of it. It's leading the way, and it is the right thing to do. You know that it is the right thing, and you know it is common sense, because even in this hyper-political environment, it is bipartisan. Democrats, Republicans, Phil Boyle started it. It is the right thing to do. It's safety, it's community, it's caring about one another, it's common sense, it's reasonable prudence and diligence. That's all this is. Now, if it's so obvious, and if it's common sense, why did it take so long? Why did it take so long? Why does it take a bad situation to happen before people realize what was common sense and what was obvious in the first place? I don't know. I don't know. If we were better, if we were smarter, if we were more aggressive, maybe we would be acting first and always getting ahead of problems. But all too often, we don't learn the lesson until we learn the lesson the hard way. And that's what happened in this situation. We learned the lesson the hard way. It wasn't common sense. It took an horrific accident that made this situation real for people. It then took hours and hours of personal courage by Gina and by Frank and by their friends to knock on doors and to argue and to advocate and to make phone calls, to communicate that common sense and weave its way through this complex political mechanism to actually become a law. Now, Gina and Frank, I have 3 young daughters. I cannot contemplate how one could deal with the loss of a child. It is the most unnatural, painful situation. My extended family just went through it this past weekend, and there's no answers. And the pain is as lasting and profound as anyone can imagine. But the question in life also often becomes, what do you do with that pain? What do you do with that suffering? What do you do when things get hard? And a lot of people get bitter, and they get angry, and they close down, and they get resentful, and they blame the world, and they blame everyone else. Very few people have the strength to say, I'm going to take this negative, profound pain and make it a positive. I'm not going to let the pain beat me. I'm going to take that pain and I'm going to use it as a source of energy to do good. I believe that was your heart and your soul, Gina. I believe that was your heart and your soul, Frank. But I believe that was Brianna inside you. And I believe it was Brianna's love saying to you, Mom, don't get mean, don't get angry, don't get sad. We can do something good. This was not in vain. This had a positive purpose to it at the end. Brianna is saving lives. Brianna is saving lives. And she's doing it through Brianna is doing it through her mother and through her father. And in many ways, that is a beautiful thing. I speak for everyone in this room when we say we mourn your loss, but we admire your courage, and we are proud of what you've done, and Brianna's love lives on. Ladies and gentlemen, Gina Liner.
Well, there's a lot of people here. I'm shy. After 14 years of tenacious advocacy, I am proud to stand beside Governor Cuomo today as he signs Brianna's law in memory of my daughter, Brianna Leineck. Today's bill signing speaks to the power of many things, but none so significant as the power of what can happen when good people come together to keep their community safe. As my family pushed for this legislation, waiting and hoping for today, I threw myself into advocacy. I always mess up on words. I'm just a little nervous. Telling our family story publicly and at boating safety courses, speaking out against the dangers of drinking before getting behind the wheel of a boat and not having a boating safety certificate. All the while hoping someone would hear our story and get behind the legislation. While our family still grieves the loss of our beloved daughter and sister, the hope of knowing that one less family will feel what we feel shines bright. I thank you, Governor Cuomo, for standing with our family, forever honoring our daughter's memory and keeping future families safe on the waterways of state of New York. And I'd just like to thank some special people that are here today that have put up with me for a long time. First, I'd like to thank my sponsors, Phil, Kimberly, John, Andrew Raya got the blunt of me. He saw the Tasmanian devil in me. Steve, you've been with me from the beginning. Thank you. I'm still sorry I cursed at you last session. When I told you, I can't believe it. And all my Town of Babylon family, they're my extended family. They've kept me going for a long time now. Rich Schaefer, thank you. Thank you for everything. You have been my guide and light, my therapist, my town supervisor. I'm still going to call you all hours of the morning because I still need therapy. But thank you. I'd like to thank Rich Werner from Safe Boating America. He did drive me up to Albany and help me advocate. So thank you, Rich, for all you've done. My new friend, the Marine Trades over there, we're going to sit and talk. I'd also like to call up 2 other moms that have suffered a loss. And I'd like to recognize their children. Joy Trainer, Lisa Gaines, could you please come up? And Maddie. These 2 women here, we all belong to the same club. And it's a club that nobody ever wants to be in. when we wake up in the morning, we never know what life is going to hold for us. And a life can change in the matter of a split seconds. You go from a happy family to a broken family. And I have the pleasure of being with two wonderful women that lost their children in the 4th of July accident. Holly Trainer and Victoria Gaines. They both had their part. Joy was with Islip Fire Department. The rescue workers, the boat they had couldn't handle our trauma. She got grants to help them get a new boat. She also got dive gear donated to all the counties. So thank you, Joy, for your part in helping our waterways to make it safer. Lisa has also been a big part of getting the boating safety out there, and she worked with Chad Lupinacci and the town of Huntington to really get the boating safety classes and promote it. And you have Boating Safety Week, and she's worked Boating Safety Week. So together as a whole, we all had a part in this. And I thank you, ladies. And it's a stinky club that we shouldn't be here, but we got to take our pain and try and help other families, whether it be on the boat. And that's one thing I've learned through this, to not be bitter or angry. I take my pain and I focus and try and do good things in the community and help families that are less fortunate, because it does take a matter of seconds. And with my family, we couldn't get any lower because we lost everything that we had, and it only took seconds. So you have to channel yourself into, to feel better about yourself is to go out there and help people, and it makes you feel better in the inside, because we know what it's like to have that pain. And if we don't turn it around and we're just angry, just eats us up inside. And I learned that from Rich, because he'll say, breathe, breathe. I also like to acknowledge the Islip Fire Department. Can you please come up here? Without the Islip Fire Department, we would not be standing here today. They were our true heroes. The men are here that actually rescued us that night, and they say they still have nightmares. I'm unaware of what happened to my daughter that couldn't make it here today. She is the hero. For 13 years old, no 13-year-old should ever, ever have to go through what my daughter went through, and that was to save her family's life and try and bring back her deceased sister. And she lives with that nightmare every day. So when I hear people say to me, I got 30 years experience boating, you still don't know what you're doing, because you can't even answer a question, which Rich has asked people and they can't answer the question. Why not have education? It makes sense. The next luring to all my Albany friends there. I will be back because Senator Jim Gorin and Steve Starr and Andrew Rea, Kimberly, they announced the BWI law. That's important. That is an important law to be passed, because nobody should be able to walk free after taking a life or even injuring somebody. So if I had the golden ticket today, I would get all you to co-sponsor for Jim. But it's not here. But thank you, everybody, for all your support through the 14 years. And this is the best day, and all I can say is, Brianna, we did it, and I kept my promise to you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will now sign the bill.
to the governor. Oh, wait, we're gonna hold right here. We're gonna hold right here.
Congratulations, Bill is signed.